Hey. We forgot to do a spoiler warning again, so this is your hot, fresh reminder to not watch this if you haven't finished episode 8.
Welcome back.
Oh, gosh.
We're in the post-edit recap, Mark 12. It's good shit.
Mark 12?
Mark 12.
Mark 12.
Well, I mean, more like technically Mark 7, I guess,
Yeah.
but it's Mark 12 in my heart.
In your faint, weak little heart.
My poor heart that's being cut with knives by Ryukishi and his awful...
And his dastardly...
Kirei! Chessboards were fun.
Chessboards were fun.
Redux.
What a silly adventure this all was.
It's been a great time, honestly. I've really enjoyed myself going through what many consider to be like the darkest, most messed up part of the whole series, the episode 7 Tea Party, which has been fun. Yeah, it's been good times. And rewatching it is even worse,
Really?
I would say.
I didn't. There were bits that were worse and there were bits that were better. I think of all of the episodes, episode 7 is the one on which my opinion changed least.
Oh, yeah.
In a rewatch.
Well, because you were on top of everything. Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You knew exactly what was going on.
But I think, like, part of me was expecting to go into episode 7 and be a bit, like, underwhelmed on a rewatch because I knew everything the first time through, more or less.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting it to just be like, oh, here we go again, here's the answers. But it was actually still really compelling on a rewatch.
Yeah, I mean, Ryukishi is a master of, like, using an actual story with characters, Will and Leon, to, like, explain the answers. It's like, it's not just an answer sheet, right? It's like, here is a story that is the answer sheet, but it's not a literal answer sheet.
Yeah.
Like, that moment when Will pulls out his black and white sword and goes to town is such a... Look, I cried a little bit, I'm just saying. On my rewatch.
I
Anyway.
also... yeah, but, like, I felt pretty much the same about everything. Like, even when he started giving the super vague answers again, and I was just like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
All hype on this.
Golden Nocturne plays. Look, can you understand how hype I was earlier in the episode where Golden Nocturne plays just for a little bit at the start of Claire's performance?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh, this track.
It was really interesting. It seemed like a lot of people in the comments had kind of forgotten that Golden Nocturne appeared that early.
Yes, it's great.
But
I mean, I had as well on my rewatch. Like, obviously, it's so hype. It's such a hype track, and the vocal
really
version is like even better. Shout out to Rekenjima in Love, which is an absolutely fantastic fan album that you should all go listen to. Shout out to the Opie song.
we should link that in the description.
We definitely should.
If we remember to.
Which we will, because
will.
we are competent content creators. With
So competent.
Good memories.
Definitely good memories.
As I look at that 50-minute video that we put up, competent and just delivering on the content in droves.
Well, I mean, listen. What do you want to do? You want me to skip a day? So hey, just so everyone's up to date on what's happening. I landed back in Australia yesterday.
Yeah, he's fucked up.
The 15-minute video went out about half an hour ago.
Yep.
And we're getting this done, pumping it out, quick, smart.
Yep. We got shit to do today. We have very important things.
Very important things.
But not as important as this, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So yeah, speaking of putting out videos, I want to shout out the fact that it's been an entire year that we've been doing this for. It was our anniversary of you and I doing this together about 6 days ago, I think, at the time of recording. Might be a bit more. I guess one day more.
Well, I mean, we did actually start recording in April, so...
I mean, we did, but that didn't count.
Oh, that didn't count. Sure, the hard work didn't start until we started putting it... That's true. Yeah,
that's
definitely true.
That's definitely true. The editing is much more difficult than the recording. As much effort as I put into my Beatrice voice, editing is probably a little bit more difficult. Less enjoyable, I would say. Still, it's been a fun ride, you and I, and we're almost at the end.
Yeah,
which is a little sad.
I think the one thing I definitely want to bring up about episode 7.
Yeah.
Because I think more or less everything rewatching, our previous recap where we're talking about like magic versus fantasy and the fact that it's just both, and how I like came full circle back around to what I believed right at the beginning, which was that it was both.
Damn right.
I think the main thing that interests me on a rewatch is that whole sequence of red flashes right at the end of Claire's diary where it shows you a bunch of alternate versions of what you've just been shown.
Yep.
A lot of people seem to forget about that.
What do you mean? People just are like...
I've been speaking to a bunch of people.
Explain yourself!
Like, okay, I met up with a couple of viewers in the US while I was over there, so shout out to you folks.
Yay!
Super shout out to my friend Sarah, who's just started reading Higurashi.
You should send her my way so she can tell me all of her sick theories.
Oh my goodness. But anyway, everyone who I've spoken to seems to forget that those red flashes are up there. Like, even some of the Let's Players are like, what are you talking about? Where is the thing about Kinzo being responsible for the Japan's dying? So, like, to me, that's a really significant part of this episode, but it seems to skip a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, a lot of people remember the, like, really long tale that was really compelling and interesting and, like, went through arcs. You know, like Kinzo's story is, like, first I want to die, so I'll join the military, and then my love showed up, and then my captain killed everyone. But yeah, that, like, flash is supposed to kind of recontextualize the events that were just shown, and I don't know, I guess it's just less memorable, or maybe people don't like thinking about it, about the idea that might be the truth. I don't know. Like,
yeah, because there's, like, that whole line where, is in my head, that scene where the culprit's like, I can't even love, I am less than human, it feels like furniture.
Yeah.
Like, that is the explanation for where furniture comes from in the story.
Yep.
And that's been one of the questions that it's been easy to put together what it means, but not how much it means.
Yeah.
So that line in particular there is one of the more significant ones for me in episode 7.
Yeah. For sure.
It's just really interesting to me how, like, such a minor scene not only is so important to me, but also how it can skip other people's minds. And I think it definitely goes to show how varied people's interpretations of the same story can be.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, before we even get into different solvings of the mystery, just like, in actually reading the upfront face value of the story, some people will take a hugely different approach.
Yeah.
I know, particularly for me, like, watching myself through in the edit, sometimes, especially in, like, episode 4, I'm like, God damn it, you dumb shit. Just treat it with love. But, like...
What is the Golden Land?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like, that was... the other one was, when we were going back in Will Solutions, you were like, what's the golden truth? And I'm like, what? And it just took me way too long to put it together because I was, like, so in the moment. So it's been great fun, like, getting to see not only how much my interpretation differs over the course of a year, but how the rest of everyone gets to interpret it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this journey of going over Umineko again, it's been less about changing my interpretation and more being better at expressing my interpretation.
Yeah,
like,
I definitely agree.
still am firmly, like, I believe that all of this was written by a human, but the way that when you have approached this, have, like, explained, like, this is the foreshadowing, or, like, this is how I would explain that to someone, has been really helpful for me to, like, figure that out in my head.
Well, you're welcome.
Thanks, you fucker. Anyway,
but yeah,
it's been great.
I mean, it's the same for me. Like, there are some concepts that just kind of, like, I could not put into words. Like, in episode 6, I think it was, when it was like, oh, look, Shannon's speaking to George, and she can't have kids, and I was...
Yes.
They can adopt.
They can adopt, it's not a problem, right? Yeah, it's at least she dwells on this fact every night and cries into her pillow or anything. I'm sure that's not a thing that happens.
So it's teenagers. It's good having each other here.
It's good. We both show each other a different side of the story, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So, I don't really know if I had terribly more to, like, say about EP7, because, as I said, what we've said so far has pretty well stayed the same.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do a little bit was talk about that Rekenjima EP7 podcast.
Oh, shit.
Because what some of you may have noticed is that linked in the playlist have been the rekenjima.org podcast that we did for Chiro. And they're put in the playlist order when we recorded them.
Right.
So, like, some of them will be before recaps and some of them will be after recaps, depending on when we actually sat down and did the podcast. But I think they were, particularly for episode 7, very formative of how I perceive these chapters.
Right.
And also certain things like things that I missed and things that other people missed that I noticed, and going through, and this was like my first approach of, my first experience with how varied someone could take episode 7 when it's probably the most
concrete.
Well,
maybe, well, you know, the closest thing we have to answers, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the intent of the episode.
I believe we said wet cement a few times.
We did. Look at all those notes that we have open. Look at how prepared we are.
I really love that you began the notes with, that was so great, nothing surprised me, I'm literally a god.
That's what you said.
Did I actually say that?
Yes, that is exactly how you open the podcast. You were like, I am literally a god.
Wow. Can we put in a clip of that? I think, as I said on my forum post, which I made most recently, I didn't think there was anything that particularly surprised me about episode 7, because I think I'd managed to work out, you know, the beats that were given a lot of detail in episode 7, but it was amazing to see that detail given. Okay.
That was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I took notes. I went through the entire 2-hour podcast and took notes so that we might be able to talk about them. There's too many. Kyrie! Somebody said Kyrie. I think it was Mimsy. Shout out to Mimsy.
Yeah.
For being the representative of ladies everywhere on, I think, any podcast.
It's really... But I think going over your notes from the podcast, the things that I was reminded of the most are certain details like Jessica's asthma, which is just like thrown into episode 7. It's like, oh, she made it up. It's like, what?
What relevance does that have?
Yeah.
Has your opinion changed on that at all?
I don't know if it has necessarily. I think I'm less opposed to the fact that it happened. When it happened the first time, I was like, this is a load of shit. It makes no goddamn difference to anything.
I mean, it doesn't really affect the plot very much, but it does reinforce that theme of, like, how do people act versus how they are, and, like Maria acting like a witch to, like, deal with social situations, and Jessica, you know, pretends to have asthma to escape social situations.
Yeah, I think definitely it's an example to me now of what I would take as a authorial teaching moment.
Yes.
Where Ryukishi has just been like, okay, if you didn't get it, here is it at its most simple form.
Here is a very simple example of how someone can...
If you already got it, it adds nothing.
Yep. There's a fair amount of that in this story, I think.
Yeah. I think particularly someone was commenting on the episode 3 video about Hempel's Raven and how, like, the explanation makes it so much more confusing, which is exactly how I felt, because it just goes on for so long.
Yeah.
But then when they use Hempel's Raven at the end to solve why they went into the mansion to get food when Kyrie had stated previously that she didn't need it, that's a really simple example.
Yep.
And you can get that really quickly. So I think I understand more now why these moments are here. But it certainly doesn't make them any kind of less abrasive. I think abrasive.
No, I'm with you. Don't worry, I'm with you. I believe that Ryukishi has flaws. One of his primary kind of flaws that he has is his prose is very repetitive. And in moments like this, where he's like, "Let me teach a simple concept," he wants to, like, repeat that as much as possible. He really hammers the point home, which, you know, is intentional. It's not like like what's the term I'm looking for? Like, bad design, I guess. Like, he knows what he's doing usually, but he really does just, like, hammer on that point, which can get annoying, especially if you understand it. If you don't understand it, it might be more useful. Like, I know that when I was going through the question asked, watching Battler go around in circles was actually kind of interesting, because I was like, right, so Ryukishi is really telling me that this is important. So love keeps coming up every single damn time, and it of course is, like, an incredibly important theme. But there are definitely some scenes where, like, he would just repeat the same line over and over again, and you're like, well, why do I need to repeat it 1,000 times? Isn't this superfluous? But, like, I don't know, it's intentional. What are you looking for? You're looking for some kind of quote to damn me with?
No, what I was actually going to, and listen, you've ruined the illusion of the fact that we're not completely prepared in advance.
Look, you can always edit this out. If you leave it in, that's your choice.
But you, like, cut yourself off mid-sentence.
I did.
You monster.
I am.
Anyway, what I was just about to pull up was a bunch of comments, kind of on a similar note about...
We're all monsters.
From a couple of people talking about... like, the solutions...
Oh god, yes.
Which, let's just get this out there. Ben and I were reading this and we're just like,
It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant. It's fine though. It's done. It's only 20 replies long. You can just jump through it.
But it was really interesting to me seeing people finally come out of the woodworks and bemoan the solutions that we're given.
Yep.
Because to my mind, I know episode 7 is a pretty divisive one because of certain things in here and how vague the solutions are and yada yada yada.
Yep.
But this is the first time people have actually come out of the woodwork and argued back with me about it.
Well, they argue with me more than you, I think. But if memory serves.
I'm sorry. I was in a taxi in Washington, D.C. It felt very significant to me.
Wow, okay. I see how it is.
Driving past the White House, arguing about anime.
I was going to say, driving your latte. Driving your latte. Drinking!
I'm meant to be the tired one here.
You know what? Drinking your latte. In America, with the best internet known to man. And I'm sure it was very difficult for you.
Very difficult for me.
Anyway. Point is, we had some disagreements, which is fine. Like, disagreements are going to happen in this story.
But it was, I think the main thing that stood out to me was someone saying that it didn't feel right that there was a different accomplice for every episode.
Yes.
Which, to me, the fact that there is a different accomplice every episode, it definitely tripped me up when I was first trying to come up with the solutions, but once I realized it was happening, it was one of the most compelling parts about having to come up with a solution.
Yeah, I really like it because it's just there to illustrate that, like, anyone can be an accomplice. Like, that's such a huge theme of Umineko. I mean, this is different. We'll get to that. But, like, for me, the whole, like, point of the way that the characters are written is that they can both be evil and good. They can be happy and sad. They can be all these, they can be an accomplice. They can be helpful. Like, the fact that any character in the story could be an accomplice, even Battler.
Whoa!
Shout out to EP5, and maybe future episodes. Shout out to Battler. Point is, like, anyone could be an accomplice. Anyone can be, like, a shitty person. That's, like, such a huge theme. So in terms of thematics, the fact that there is an opportunity for every character to be a culprit, I think is, like, really reinforces that. That's my, like, headspace on that.
Yeah,
that's
I think the other thing is as I said in this particular comment chain, even if you take away the, like, the point that anyone can be an accomplice, it's also just a really interesting way to explore their character.
Yep.
Because all of the ways that the accomplices are portrayed in their particular episodes, they're used to explore the background of why they could be an accomplice. So, like, when we're looking at Ava and Hideyoshi in episode 1, there's that whole scene of them sitting down discussing what they're gonna do when they retire just before they die or whatever.
Yep.
When all we've seen so far that episode is Ava just being awful to everyone.
Yep, just being the worst.
And then in episode 2, Rosa, we kind of get a lot more into...
She's much more ruthless.
Yeah.
Like, as an accomplice, right?
So then when we get into, like, the episode 7 tea party where Rosa finally snaps and goes like, "No, Ava, you bitch."
Yep. It's pretty well set up,
It's really well set up. And, I could repeat myself for each of the following episodes, but you can put 2 and 2 together, I hope. So I think it's... I can definitely understand why people don't like that there are different accomplices for every episode, because especially when you're viewing it as, like, the game of trying to figure out all of Ryukashi's murder mystery, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I kind of approach it, like, similar to you, I think it's just interesting to think about. And I know that I did end up in that 20 comment chain horseshit scenario, but I generally am not the kind of person to argue the minutia of the episodes. Like, as interesting as it is, Ryukashi is a madman for putting together such a, like, tight series of murder mysteries. I'm not, like, just more and more, I'm like, I don't really want to talk about that. I don't really want to discuss, like, exactly how every murder went down or exactly who's accomplice, like, at what time this happened.
Let me perhaps rephrase this for you, because I think it's less that you don't care about the minutia, but more that you don't think that there needs to be a consensus.
Yes, sorry, that's what I mean. Like, I don't feel the need to be like, You must listen to me. I am correct one.
We don't need an encyclopedia of correct answers.
No.
Because as the story goes to show, multiple interpretations are the point. Which, even though we're having this discussion and maybe even arguing in these comments, I think it's really valuable that we disagree.
So, I mean, if we all thought the same thing, the world would be boring anyway. So, just saying.
But that's not what I think, Ben. And really...
Well, I disagree. I think it'll be very boring. I think it'll be very boring.
Yeah. So shout out to that discussion, because as much as we might have hated each other's guts and wanted to stab each other for it, I think it definitely goes to show how such a relatively straightforward episode can still be interpreted in so many ways. Which
it's a good time.
Yeah. Is definitely in editing the largest takeaway I have from this.
Yeah.
I don't think editing really showed me anything new, but definitely going through the comments on this one and getting to see people's interpretations finally come out of the woodwork now that they're not scared of spoiling me. Yeah,
it's true. That is a good thing now that we don't have to worry about spoilers really. Like we're in the post-edit recap, so there isn't really a lot to spoil past this point in terms of the mystery.
That being said, though, the other thing that I really love about episode 7, is
Will and Leon.
No,
God damn you! It's so cute.
We'll get to that.
We have to.
Is the fact that episode 8 still exists?
Yes.
Because a lot of stories would have ended here.
Yep.
And I think to some extent I still agree with Aspirity. Shout out to Aspirity.
Shout out.
About the fact that episode 7 is the ending and episode 8 is the epilogue. And then the upcoming episode 9 is going to be the epilogue.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna jump on that until right there, but you are absolutely correct. Episode 9 or some other Umineko episode has been announced along with the next When They Cry to be happening later this year.
Yeah,
and I'm just saying we might be looking at that with some hungry eyes.
I would rather wait for a proper translation.
I mean, yes, you know what I mean. Like, we're not going to try to learn I mean, we could learn Japanese.
No,
we could make a whole series.
Let's just do the whole playthrough in Japanese again.
Point is, we would have such a hard time pronouncing words. It'd be great. Point is, Vigilius hype. That's all I'm going to say.
You think it's going to happen?
I hope so. That's what he looks like.
Okay.
Speculation corner. That's what that character looks like when he's back to Bathara. It looks like Vigilius. It looks exactly like his original sketch art. I'm just saying. It's gonna be great.
Okay.
It's gonna be great.
All right.
It's gonna be a 3-way detective battle between Vigilius, Erica, and Bathara. It's gonna be great.
All right.
Okay. I'm just saying. But what were we saying? Bring us back.
Episode 8, right?
Episode 8 is good. Maybe.
Episode 7 left me feeling like there weren't many questions left to answer.
But that's what we had
Except, what the fuck is episode 8? That was the only question that episode 7 really left me with. Because I would have been super happy if episode 7 was the end of everything. Like, particularly massive full spoilers, so if you're dumb enough to watch this far, and warning.
Fucking leave. Get out, nerd.
The ending of the magic ending of episode 8, where Beatrice drowns, I had figured that out because of the clues up to the end of episode 7. As I was saying...
Shout out to EP4.
In the tea party when I'm like, wow, this matches really well with what I've been saying. Like, if the story had ended there, my interpretation would hardly have changed. Because all of the clues are there.
Yeah, your interpretation of the episode 1 to 4 mysteries, for sure. But that's why episode 8 isn't really about that so much, right? And that's what's cool. That's what's really cool about it.
So I think the main thing that I'm really excited for in episode 8 is getting to see how, from a post-EP8 perspective, it recontextualizes itself.
Yeah.
Because episode 8 is currently the only episode I haven't already rewatched before going into editing it.
Right.
Because, like, I mean, rewatch perhaps is the wrong term because it's mainly like skimming and jumping to particular moments to like remind myself. Yeah. But episode 8 is the only one that I haven't touched at all since we finished it.
It should be interesting. I'm interested to see how our voice performances hold up. I hope we did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, definitely one of the things that I'm a little dreading is I know going through part of episode 8, I was getting really fucking bored.
Yeah.
So I hope that doesn't come across too much.
My throat was dying for a large portion of the recording session.
Some idiots decided to try do 8 hours of it in one day.
It was fine.
Thank goodness it wasn't us.
Oh my god, I remember that. Oh, fuck me. We picked the worst episode for it too, didn't we?
Yeah, we really did.
With all those fucking fight scenes. All right, well, yeah. It'll be fine. I'm sure we're fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, before we do move on to episode 8, though, I want to shout out, as you have shouted out, as we have all shouted out, the final tea party for episode 7. Because I know you're like, I don't know what's going to be in episode 8. But, like, Ryukishi basically puts his cards on the table and is like, yo, there is going to be misery. There will not be a happy ending. However, there will also be the most beautiful tale that you have ever seen. And I fucking love that he did that
it's
as
so
the cliffhanger.
good.
It's such a perfect cliffhanger for, like... Because he's all about that duality. He's all about that duality. Mystery versus fantasy, red versus blue, etc. And he's just like, here are two completely opposite things. We should be used to this by now. You should know that I love putting two opposite things together and making them work. Look forward to episode 8, right? Like, it's such a good ending. Shout out to little Baby Anje, who we don't get to see in this version of the game, though she does have a wonderful PS3 like CG of her and Batra walking towards the chapel door, and it's
that one.
It's like
it's one of my favorite pictures from the entire game.
Yeah, I'm almost wanting to just play the PS3 version just for that CG because it's great. Well, that and some of the ones from EPA are pretty great as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scythes. And giant towers. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really have a lot more to say on episode 7 as a whole. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about, as I said earlier, is Will and Leon.
Yeah.
I think as far as creating a parallel character to portray your two main characters in for one episode,
it's pretty good.
It is really impressive how much I don't know, how much characterization they both get in such a short span of time.
Yeah, well, relative to the 7 other episodes, or I guess 6 other episodes before this, for sure.
Like you know, they don't really get the full scope of their character as some of the other people in the story, but I think for just being the part of one episode and largely being in just dialogue scenes, which to some extent, I just kind of repeating the same point over and over again. I think it's really impressive how we get to see who those characters are and what they mean. And also towards the end, when we finally get to the tipping point where if you still hadn't put together that it's parallels for Battler and Beatrice, that kind of like tipping point where it's like, oh hey, did you figure it out yet? I think it's really great how it's set up such that when you put that together, it doesn't like throw you off and you're like, wait, what? It's Battler and Beatrice. You're like, oh, it's Battler and Beatrice. Yeah,
I mean, I remember when Toya was trying to hold on to his memory of Beatrice and who that was and not let them fall into the sea of their own memories. I'm sorry, what?
Silly
Just
boy.
saying, don't forget about Leon. Don't do it. Don't forget about Leon. Will, you motherfucker.
And also just like the way that the entire scene where, you know, Leon looks at her other lives from other worlds and, you know, is just like, well, you know what? I'm going to live for the both of us. And this like...
Oh, no, wait a second. There was an explosion.
Well, no, but just like this very optimistic tale.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Byrne gives it the crazy wacky ending or whatever. But, oh God, I'm struggling to put this into words. I know how I feel about it. But I really love these characters for the role they play, despite how little time they get. I should have taken the time to like try phrase.
I don't know how to help you. I feel like you've said it pretty. Like I get you.
Yeah.
They're in there for only one episode compared to the entire 6 that we've had. But it's like it's kind of similar to Erica. Like she only gets like she has 5 and 6, and she comes back in 8. But really, all of her development happens in 5 and 6. Like she only has a relatively short time.
Yeah, I think the main difference between Erica and these
although
two
she's much more actively involved in what's happening. Because a lot of Will and Leon's scenes are just commenting on things that are happening near them.
Yes.
Or activating theater powers and seeing into the past. Like they don't actually do a lot until the very end. Which that's fine. Like their role is a larger part of the cat box. Their role is to illuminate other parts of the novel. They're kind of a support role. But they're really cool, and I love them, and I wish that Leon would pinch Will's butt more. That's all I want.
Alright. So yeah, I think...
Not a fan of butt pinching?
I'm not even gonna touch it.
Okay.
Pun intended.
Okay.
So, I think that's probably where I wanted to wrap this recap up. I will say episode 7 has my favorite music.
It's pretty great.
In the entire game. Particularly, like, the really laid-back tracks, and I commented on it a lot of times during the episodes. Really fantastic, but I don't think I have anything to say particularly about how they're used, because it's some of the more straightforward music in the story.
Shout out to Far's remix, Far Flat. Yeah. My god.
It's just really simple, straightforward, and I think it fits really well. So, yeah, that's that. What I really want to do is I want to leave you all with a question.
Uh-oh.
Do you
want me to answer?
I want to throw this into the comments.
Okay.
If all of the things that were shown in episode 7 are true, and Ben and I claim that Battler/Toya wrote them all, where do you think he got that information from, and how valid do you think it is? Because I think, for the most part, I think it's kind of insignificant, because it's less about the reality of the story and more about trusting Ryukishi with love and accepting that these things are more or less true. But I'm still interested to see where people think that lies in their, like, interpretation of the story. Because I know we both agree pretty heavily on it, and I really want to hear other people's thoughts on this.
I'll definitely be jumping in the comments at some point, but I might give you guys some time to, discuss it.
you just rock up to the comments like 10 seconds after the video's posted.
This is the answer. It's just an essay. Yeah. I will refrain.
So yeah.
I will refrain for as long as I can.
I think the next thing that will be coming out, just to give me a bit more time for episode 8's edit, because I'm a little bit behind, is I will be doing a read-through of my write-up, which I did on rekenjima.org.
Oh shit.
So I'm gonna edit that up to make it a bit tidier, because it's still a bit of a mess, and then I'll read that through in a nice, podcasty little way for you.
Are you gonna play some music in the back? Can I do the music? Can I do like a beat?
Yeah, just beatbox the whole time.
That's not beatboxing, but...
But yeah, so that's probably what'll be next. Don't forget to check the playlist for the rekenjima.org episode 7.
Yeah!
And yeah, we'll see you guys in the distant future, the year 2000.
Woo! What?
Dated Flight of the Conchords references.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
Okay, bye.
Bye! See you in Twilight!